Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Congratulations to the 47th President of the United States. Congratulations to the 47th President, Dr. Cornel West. Let me get this peppermint out of my mouth so I can talk. I thought I had a guest backstage, but I'll wait until I see him to put him on camera. Hello, how is everybody doing? Um, we are ready. Um, we have oh, there he is right there. I cannot hear you.
Oh, hi Tracy. Good evening. How are you doing today?
Hello, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good myself. Busy with the campaign season. Trying to get the message.
Is trying to get that message across.
Yes.
Yeah. So, everybody, today's show is going to be a tad bit different. We're definitely going to talk about Dr. West, but I'm going to take it in a little bit of a different direction. There are 11 days or 10 days. There's less than 2 weeks left until the election. There's less than 2 weeks left until November the 5th, when I predict that the DNC is going to be crying. That's why I've said it. I keep saying it, but they don't want to listen, but that's okay. So, before we get started, visit the website at www.cornelwest2024.com. Remember that the Destroy the Duopoly Awards are coming up December the 14th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ballots are still you're still able to vote until November the 30th. So if you want to be a part of this award show where we dishonor those that deserve to be dishonored,
Hmm.
make sure you fill out that, and I'm going to leave it up for a little bit. Um, I do, before I get to the rest of the comments, I do want to make one announcement too. Number one, we will have a special congratulations to the 47th president of the Dr. Cornel West on Monday. Monday, this coming Monday, we will have a special guest. It's not Dr. West, so I can tell you that right now. It's not Dr. West, but it is a group of people or a person that we're hoping to get some of the staff in to have them talk about the campaign. So that will be Monday, um, at 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It may be 7. It's either 6 or 7. I can't remember the time, but I'll have it all. They'll just let me know. I think it's
Right.
at 7. But that is Monday. And then Tuesday, November the 5th, this podcast will have an election day special. Yes, we are going to be talking about the election. I know every podcast is going to be doing
Hmm.
one, but I need all eyes on this podcast. So, if you want to be a part of that podcast, I need 4 more people to be a part of that day. We'll start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're probably going to go a little bit, probably past 11, but make sure that you let me know so that I can put your name on there. But November the 5th, this podcast will have a special election day show. Michael, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Just been busy campaigning for, third parties, spreading the message about reparations. I wrote a piece about reparations to get people to understand it because in America, America's a very capitalistic country, and I'm trying to get people to think about reparations in terms of money because I know Americans love money very much, right? And I make a case for reparations. I just wrote a piece I think I believe I emailed you the piece to you maybe not too long ago, but I had to double check. So I was just basically making the connection that for like people who want for candidates who are trying to trying to spread their message, get their message across about reparations. I mentioned that they had to tie reparations in terms of human object relationship. So what I mean by human object relationship. So what I mean is that humans have assets, ownerships, homes, right? Because to have a house, you need money to maintain the repairs, pay mortgage, change pipes. So I saw how it connects to privilege, especially like for them folks. When I say them folks, I mean by the Karens, Becky's, Brads, because they're too privileged and they don't understand. Most of them don't understand intergenerational trauma, but they do understand intergenerational wealth. And then I talk about how like it's very important that they need to get on code with reparations because the Black American freedom of chattel slavery are issuing a warning. I'm sorry, are issuing a warning to all Americans. If you don't pass reparations, the ship will continue to sink further and further down, and then we're not gonna come to rescue you. So we're not gonna rescue you guys anymore. So it's time to get in code with reparations. And then towards the end, talk about how like if we're gonna get to universal policies, we're gonna have to address reparations first. Because if we don't address reparations for the Black American freedom of chattel slavery, then it's going to be very difficult to pass universal policies because universal policies are race based, right? Because Congress, state legislatures, governors, yeah, they oppose universal policies because when we talk about race, so that's why I say it's very important to get reparations passed. And once reparations are passed, whether it's at the state or national level, then we can build a momentum for universal policy. So that's what I mean by that because it's going to be too late, for many years later. And plus, the racial wealth gap is going to get worse and worse. That Black Americans are going to have like basically zero dollars in wealth. I think by I think it's like 2030 or 2040. So that's why the time is now, and it's a necessity. And money is important in today's economy.
Yep. So um busy, busy, busy. We're all busy. And of course,
Right.
we're gonna always gear the discussion towards what the West Abdullah campaign is advocating for in terms
Mhm.
of reparation or um any issue. So we're gonna go over a whole bunch of them tonight, but I want to
Sure.
get to the comments because I do see some comments. And if you have to drop off, that's okay. But appreciate you being here. So Nelson is in the house. He says, "Hey, cousin Tracy, how you doing this evening?" Nelson, I am tired. I have been up since 7 o'clock this morning. I decided to go early vote. I got there at 10:45. I did not get to write in Dr. West's name until 1:30. So I did my due diligence. My vote was for um, the 40,000 that this administration, the Biden Harris administration, has slaughtered. It was for the 650,000 homeless Americans. It was for refusing to raise the minimum wage above 7.25. I felt really good about my vote. I went live to tell everybody how I voted.
Hmm.
And I'm going to talk about that because I got a lot of hate today. And I'm not sure. It's like, oh, y'all must really know y'all about to lose because I've never really gotten. I mean, I've been posting about Dr. West ever since he got into the race.
Hmm.
And now you're going to do it? Okay. So that means you're going to lose. So it's been a very busy day.
Right.
Um, you also wanted to know how the slumber party went. The slumber party went long. We started at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We did not get done till 12:30 a.m. We had a fantastic Small but fantastic turnout. We played a lot of games. We did a lot of things. So I was glad that we had it. Of course, I wish more women could have been involved, but that's
Mhm.
okay. But we did have a fantastic time. Did not get done until 12:30
Oh wow.
a.m. So we went a long time.
Fine, that's
Um,
great. And for
yep.
that slumber party, did the woman ever talk about like any policy positions that they
Oh no,
consider
we played games. We played.
games?
Yeah, we were like we talked a little bit about policy, but nothing detailed. We all talked about the situation in Gaza, why it is we're voting for Dr. West, but we were there to play games and talk about stuff. We weren't
Right.
there. Yeah, so it was really really good to have that time. I'll be there November 5. Yes. Thank you, Nelson. Michael dropped off, so I'll remove him until once I see him come back.
I'll be back. I gotta get something fast. I'll be back.
Okay.
We're just gonna stop the camera just 2 minutes.
Okay. Nelson, thank you because I need all eyes on this podcast November the 5th. I need everybody that watches this podcast. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your cousins, tell your play cousins, tell your frenemies, people that you don't like to be on this podcast. We're gonna start. I think it'll start like me actually talking. It'll start at 7:30, but I'll come on the air at 7, just to kind of get everything started. Talk about what I think is gonna happen. So tonight's show is, like I said, it's going to be very very different. Um, with the election coming this close, it's ironic to me, or it puzzles me, that so many people are okay with voting for genocide. Um, I mean, it's been something I've been thinking about, ever since the October 7th attacks last year and Israel's response to it. I didn't realize so many people are okay that genocide isn't their red line. I guess I just assumed that, oh, well, nobody's going to be for the destruction of 40,000 people. Nobody can sit here and say that's good. And I hear people saying they're just going to vote, they're just going to turn the eye. It doesn't matter because they're, they're, the Palestinians are over there and I'm over here. And my point to that is, if you think, if you don't think that they'll do to you what they're doing to them, I got some bad news for you.
Hmm.
This government has already proven it does not like black people at all.
Yeah,
It's
for
already
sure.
proven it does not like. If you're basically not white and male, you have no guarantee. Look at some of the communities in our, I don't know what city you live in, Michael, but
I
look
live
at
in
the.
yeah, actually I'm in Virginia, so I'm outside of Washington D.C.
Okay, so I
But I'm
guarantee.
aware. But yes, I am aware that the U.S. government has a barely, how do I say this? According to Phil Scott, he said America has a dislike but a barely love relationship with black people, especially black men. Barely like, but mostly dislike.
Oh, it's mostly dislike. And people say, oh, well, the Gazans, they're over, people in Palestine, they're over there, and I'm over here. And I should only be concerned about what's going on over here. And here's what I'll say to that. Two things. One, again, if they'll do that to the Palestinians, what makes me think that they're not going to try to do that to me?
Right.
There's no thing that makes me think, oh, well, they would stop. They wouldn't hurt me. Of course they would. Of course they would. Look at our communities. Gentrification, or what Jordan Sheridan calls neighborhood um, terrorism, economic terrorism, has destroyed our neighborhoods. We have neighborhoods in the city of Indianapolis that look like war zones hit them. It
Oh my
looks like
gosh.
it just like the downtown is really
Mhm.
nice, and certain sections of towns are really nice. But if your skin looks kind of like this, and most of the people in your neighborhood like this, the neighborhoods are not like that.
Hmm.
We have sections of town, like I said, it looks like more missiles hit it,
Wow.
and
And
I guarantee that's happening all across the country.
oh yeah, absolutely. It's happening definitely across. It's happening nastily for sure, but definitely for like areas that have high concentration of black populations. Yeah, Black Americans are more likely to be displaced, and the first group for sure to be hit hard financially before other groups get hit hard financially, and Black Americans are less likely to recover from economic sabotage or economic recessions. And this is nothing new. Historically, it has been shown and demonstrated, and policymakers have not really changed their views about Black Americans because most policymakers have practiced or they don't realize that they're practicing anti-Black racism. And it's just not only policymakers, but it's also economists too, because economists will use like economists have this like unique thinking that the reason why Americans cannot get ahead, especially in reference to Black Americans, because of like the supply demand, but the economists don't understand the policies that were put in place, by design to keep Black Americans not only out but keep them at the bottom, like or put them or yeah keep them at the bottom, so they remain a permanent underclass. And especially with Black Americans, they used to have steady jobs, especially like factories going back to the 19, I think 70s. And then it was not until like 1980s when Reagan came into office, he deregulated a lot of industries, cut taxes, and then factory jobs left America. And it's been happening since the 80s onward. And of course, Democrats too played a role with continue the trend of outsourcing, and because the corporations feared black men, that black men were going to strike, not only strike, but black men also wanted better working conditions, better pay, so they can feed their families. And so I think that's why a lot of CEOs wanted to end the strike or end unions because they knew Black Americans were going to challenge the status quo, or they realized that Black Americans were not going to tolerate the status quo moving forward. And then after that, and you're right, it's a war zone in a lot of cities, and nothing has really changed or improved after that.
And I think it's intentional, right?
Yes.
I definitely think it's intentional because you look at, here's what I'll say, and I'll probably talk here at the end and take you down so I can just like literally talk to people on my own. I never knew that so many people were so okay with the way things are going.
Right.
I just never, in my mind, I never thought that we would live in a nation that would tolerate 650,000 homeless people. Like, we should literally be in the streets demanding that everyone be housed.
Mm-hmm.
But people will sit and vote. It's like they vote against their own best interests. Like, they say they're for housing people, but they won't vote for the candidate, Dr. Cornel West, that is for making sure that everyone has a home.
Right.
It's like you're
It's,
just literally like you're voting. I don't know, and I don't know what that is, and I don't know why that is, but it's really been bothering me. I have literally, because I know she's watching this, I had a Facebook friend tell me, "Hey, you need to stop campaigning for West because he's not going to win." And I'm like, "So, but this is more important than winning. This is me expressing
mm-hmm.
my dissatisfaction, my dissatisfaction um, with what's going on. And
Right.
so it just kind of makes me scratch my head.
Yeah, I understand. You know what is Trace, I can answer your question why Americans vote against their own interests when they're for affordable housing. Yeah, because as mentioned earlier, because America's a very in America we in America we embrace capitalism at the expense of our own health and the public good. And a lot of Americans in general, most of them, I'm not gonna generalize, but most of them wanna most Americans don't want to feel like they want to be middle class forever. So they feel like they need the top 1% to help them out financially in terms of giving in terms of like starting a business, um accessing capital, right? And you're right that Americans contradict themselves because unfortunately, because we're still stuck with the Reaganomics, trickle down economics, Bill Clinton, Obama, Trump, Hillary Clinton. So we haven't really moved away from neocon liberalism in the last 40 yeah in the last 40 50 years. So our minds are still stuck under the A train, but we can't get out of the A. We can't move from the A train to the B train for a better life, and also the plantation mindset, and also because most Americans, well, I don't want to say young Americans. I know young Americans. We have like said to ourselves, the American dream is no longer for us. We realize it and we notice it, especially after the Great Recession of 2008, and also because most baby boomers they have a utopia. Let's go back to normal, but we can't go back to normal anymore because the problems, became radical over time in the last 40, 50 years, and now the problems are radical. So I can understand why Americans are voting against their own interests, why they're voting for Donald Trump, but I don't agree with them supporting Donald Trump because Donald Trump identified the problem correctly, no doubt. I'll give him credit for that. However, his policies are not going to benefit working class people because Donald Trump knows how to say the right tone, he knows how to play the music correctly or play the violin. But the problem is that most Americans they don't read behind the lines, or I'm sorry, read between the lines, and that's why when we vote for like Republican and Democrats every year, especially Democrats who are corporate, yeah, we end up getting the short end of the stick, especially Black Americans, for sure, because of because of Reaganomics, because Reaganomics infiltrated the Democratic Party, especially with Bill Clinton and Obama, and that's why they end up doing little things, and that's why the policies don't really benefit us until maybe 10 years later because they're so incremental. If they had proposed bold policies in today's climate, we would have experienced like quick change within 1 to 2 years. But the reality is that it's not the case anymore because of the neoliberal politics, the citizens united. And also, and I'm going to be honest too, because you and I, we study different countries. Most Americans really don't want to study how other countries reduce homelessness, achieve universal health care, free public education, and advance vocational training, paid parental leave, paid time off, giving families allowance. Because in America, we're very rigidly individualistic, so it's very hard to develop the collective will. And also, funny thing is that most Americans, right, who are who are Europeans, even the European Americans don't want to go back to their roots, and that's why we're in this place, we're in this situation, and it's very hard to get out of because most European Americans don't want to go back to collectivism or go back to their parents' days when they came to America. Meaning they're like forgetting about European, social welfare programs because most Americans just think about let's just make money and forget about the public good. And I hear your frustration too, Tracy. I understand it. And I get very frustrated too. It's just not only like Americans too, but it's also in my community as well. Most Asian people I've talked to or read about, especially in the Vietnamese community. The Vietnamese people, oh my gosh, they are hardcore Republicans, meaning they're against universal policies. They're against reparations, and I get mad at Vietnamese people. I always say this to the Vietnamese community: if it weren't for Black Americans, you guys will not be in this country because the Viennese people like to say, "Pull yourself up by your own bootstrap," and I say to Viennese people, "Okay, you tell me pull yourself your bootstrap. Don't you know the loans you got from the government is actually Black Americans who fought for you guys to come to America, meaning Vietnamese." And most older generation Vietnamese people are like stuck in their minds, you know what I mean? But the younger generation of Vietnamese Americans, I'll tell you, they're more open and more understanding if they're not totally progressive. And also there's a constant, struggle with how far do we want to go radical and how far we don't want to go radical when it comes to promoting the public good. And I tell Americans, there's no the middle has been compromised because the problems have become radical over time. It didn't become radical like overnight.
Yep.
Does it
Yep.
answer your question? You need me to elaborate more?
No, I think that's good. I want to say hello, Jesse Paris. How are you? Thank you for checking in. Remember, guys, tell your friends I'm on. I don't see a whole lot of us watching tonight, and that's a little unusual. I'm used to a certain number, and we're really, really below that number. But tell everybody that I'm on. But thank you for dropping in. Nelson also says they told my father that his property value would drop if he didn't sell and leave. Being Cuban and in Cuba, we all lived together without prejudice. So my father stayed, and we had great black neighbors. Um, Jesse says I'm one of the 10 electors for Dr. West here in Colorado. Um, they might be shadow banning you. I wouldn't doubt it because I don't kiss the Democratic. Oh, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna shut up. I'm not gonna go there. If we wouldn't have stayed, I would have never. If we wouldn't have stayed, I would have never met my friend Reggie. Oh, that's not. But I think that's what's making me
Mm-hmm.
so like these are people who would, at the drop of a hat, march for Medicare for all. They would march to end the war in Gaza. They would march to to increase housing. And the fact that they would just turn around and vote for someone who's diametrically opposed to those ideas because they can win,
Mm-hmm.
it's just bothersome to me. And I don't know how to say it any other way than what I'm saying.
You
Because
said it perfectly well, to be honest.
um this election has taught me a lot. Um as a black person, I don't understand how some of us that look like me can say, well, that's their problem. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, but oppression anywhere is oppression everywhere.
Right.
And again, just because, because they're doing it there, I'll say it again, don't think that you won't be next up. And then who's going to speak for you?
Right.
This is this is the time to do it. And that's what I want to talk about today. This is the time to go to the polls, whether you had to do like me and write in Cornel West's name. Yes, I had to type it out. Um, whether he's on the ballot like he is in Colorado, this is the time to say we're tired of it. We're
Mm-hmm.
tired of our tax money going to support wars. We're tired of our young men and women having to fight wars, coming back home with PTSDs, coming home with lost limbs, coming back not the same way that they left.
Right.
It's it's either we speak now or we never speak.
Yeah, and do you think it has to do with the generational differences? I'm just curious from your point of view, Tracy. Because I know millennials, Gen Zers, I'm not sure about Gen Xers, but I definitely know that young people are speaking out more and more. And the baby boomers and silent generations, they're getting very frustrated and tired of hearing young people speaking out against, like systemic inequality. Like, what do you think? Like,
I don't know what it is. I know like there are some people I'm just not even gonna have a conversation with about
mm-hmm,
politics because they'll literally tell me, "Hey, you're voting for West. That means you're voting for Trump." No, if I
no,
wanted to vote for Donald Trump, I would vote for Donald Trump, not
right,
Cornel West. That's not the same thing. but to them it is.
Right.
So um, I don't even attempt to have those type of conversations with those people because you're going to think that me voting for Dr. West is gonna make Trump win. That's what you're
Yeah.
gonna think. Doesn't matter how many studies I show
hmm
you that shows anything different. You're gonna believe what you're gonna believe.
Right. And also because the people, your friends were telling you that, oh, vote for Cornel was for vote for Donald Trump. It's not. But what I think what your friends and others don't understand is that undecided voters are going to determine the election next month. You know what I mean? Because they're going to wait until November 5th to decide between, Trump and Kamala Harris. Because a lot of early voters have decided, to vote for third parties. So it's really undecided voters if they're going to lean towards, Kamala. I call Kamala Harris Kamala Karen. Get it? Because Kamala Harris has a very European mindset. And obviously, she does not care about, Black American voters. And Donald Trump. So it's really up to the undecided voters. I would I would hope the undecided voters would lean towards Cornel West because there's no point of voting for the two-party duopoly. The two-party duopoly has been corrupt. You can't repair a two-party system when the cancer is so parasitic. You just can't. The only way you can eliminate cancer is having a revolution and liberating ourselves from the cancer. And unfortunately, the older generations, oh my gosh, the baby boomers, silent generation. I'm not sure about Gen Xers, but if Gen Xers, yes, I think they just want is reform. How can you reform a system when it's already broken? It's like, why do you want to fix a car when a car already has broken down? You
Well,
definitely
that's
want to get a
the
new.
that's the thing. You know how many times I've been told, "Well, you should just work within the Democratic Party."
Right.
Tried it; it didn't work. The party that's I'm like,
hmm
you get it. You understand the system is broken, but you keep it's insanity, right? It's insanity.
Right.
You keep going to the polls, you keep making terrible choices, but somehow you expect things to change. They won't. They
Yeah.
will not change until you stop voting for these people. And
Exactly.
and I'll say it, I don't care. Nobody had to like me. You ain't gotta like me. You not liking me, I'm not gonna lose sleep. If me voting for um if me voting for
hmm
Dr. West gets us Trump, oh well, yeah, I said it. Oh
Right.
well. Because basically this administration, the Harris Biden administration
Biden.
or Biden Harris administration, has did everything, in my opinion, to lose this election.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And did you
Um,
see right? And did you see the interview, the town hall meeting that Kamala Harris
I
had
refuse to watch. I'm doing that
on
Tuesday.
CNN?
Don't talk about it. I'm going to talk about that on Tuesday. Don't
Okay,
give it
so
away.
never mind. But I'll just tell you a brief, quick summary. It was horrible. She had to read a teleprompter, right? I'm like, who? What's? I've never seen a presidential candidate read a teleprompter, right? Because Donald Trump is very offended. He does not need a teleprompter. But Kamala Karen, I was like, oh my gosh, she couldn't even answer basic question about
Well,
growth
her
prices.
answer for to the lady that asked about Gaza was so terrible, and I'm like, the fact that people are telling me I'm crazy for not voting for this, I'm like, what is y'all on? I want somebody to sit down and
Right.
literally tell me because I don't understand. I don't understand how you look. And trust me, when I criticize Harris, that same criticism goes towards Trump because he's terrible too.
Yes.
Um,
Right. And even like Obama, like the way like Obama and Kamala Harris talk to black men, they talk to black men as if they're like children, right? And black American men told Obama, Kamala, we're not your kid, okay? Obama, don't talk to us as if you know us very well, right? Because
yep.
Obama realized that he is losing autonomy control over black American voters, right? So he has to feel like he has to be like the guy from the hood, from the street to get black American men to vote, especially the millennials.
Well, if you're talking about his little chat with black men,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that I was not there or my father was not there
Mm-hmm.
because knowing my daddy, may he rest in peace, he would have clean cussed Obama out
Like
for that.
crazy.
Clean, no doubt. He talked to those men in such a derogatory, entitled, like, well, how dare you not? How about this? We're not voting for her because she's a terrible candidate.
Mm-hmm.
How about that? I don't
Exactly.
know. Maybe that's it. We got comments coming, so thank you guys for the comments. We just had an event for Dr. West, and they kept bringing up those kind of conversations in Denver, Colorado, with the Democratic K-Hive supporters. That's what they drinking that Kamala Kool-Aid. They are drinking it. They didn't drink
Right.
that Kamala Kool-Aid and can't stop drinking them. I agree with your guest on the undecided votes. Cornel West is the best candidate for president we have, and he did not have to put himself out there like this. My vote is for is for Cornel West all the way. Hello, Tobias. Yes, Michael. This is why I say we campaign until I think you mean election day, but it's still rigged.
He means election day.
To heck with the Democratic Party and trying to work within it. I've already been there, done that too. Yes, it's like you're really like out of goodwill trying to work to make it better. But then there's a point where you realize, oh, these people don't want to change. These people, they don't want to change not one bit.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking about that, because the Democrats don't want to change, like I said earlier, because they're stuck under the Bill Clinton's neoliberal neoliberal philosophy. Just change a little bit, let the market take care of itself. You know what I mean? That old ideology. Because we haven't I mean, as a collective, we haven't really deviated that much. I'm sure there are a lot of frustrated individual Democrats who said, I'm fed up with the Democrats. We tried so hard to change the party within, but it's not working. So we're just going to leave the Democratic Party or leave the plantation and go third party or vote Dr. Cornel Wells, because the third party, Dr. Cornel Wells, they understand the systems better than Democrats can. Because Democrats, they're on crack, they're smoking Cuban cigars, they're drinking a lot of beer, and they're so addicted, right? And to tell like addicted person, don't do it. Is he or she going to listen? Of course not. What we can do is just advise, and then even advising can be very frustrating. And so I'm so happy that a lot of American voters are leaving the two-party system, especially the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party is beyond repair. The Democratic Party is unfortunately run by too many baby boomers and silent generations, and then they don't want to pass the torch to young people. They're
Yeah,
scared. They're scared that young people will revolutionize the Democratic Party.
they don't want to be revolutionized. They
Exactly.
don't want to. That's the thing. They don't want to change at all. So I'm gonna get to the rest of these comments because y'all keep them coming, keep them
Yeah.
coming. And if y'all trolls is out there, I need y'all to sharpen us tonight.
Yes.
I understand too. Yeah, I feel this way. I literally feel like, you know what? Everybody talking about, oh, Trump's gonna get rid of the government. He's gonna destroy democracy. First of all, we do not have a democracy. We have an oligarchy that's dictated by big money interests. That's the government that we have. So, how does Trump? He's not smart enough to do it. Blah blah blah. Orange man bad is not going to work. It never has worked. It never will work. Um, yep, I said the same thing at the Democratic Party events I attended last week in Denver, Colorado. He knows nothing. He's talking about Obama knows nothing about the streets or about the foundational Black American men experience. I definitely agree with that. Facts, they don't want to change. They're still stuck under the neoliberal nonsense. Absolutely. I left the Democratic plantation over 10 years ago. I left after Obama's second term. Hello, Kevin. I voted on Friday yesterday and I wrote Dr. West on my ballot. Yes! Yes, 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 yes. I'm so glad too.
Yeah.
West understands the best. Will the justice for all okay. Um
Hmm.
I'm gonna answer this question. This is why I actually did tonight's broadcast because this is the question I'm going to answer. And hello, Jesse. Thank you for checking in. Will the Justice for All Party continue past 2024? Tracy and Michael, would you like to see as the 2028 nominee? Personally, I'm going to say it. Dr. West only going to be 74. I say,
Mhm.
you know what? If he's still sprite, he still got to go for it. I don't
Yeah.
see why not. Joe Biden is 82 out here running. I mean, I don't see why not, but I'm going to
Yeah,
get back to that question.
sir.
Um,
Jesse Smith. Yeah, and I want to answer his question too about the justice nominee. Yes, I'll be happy to see. I would like to see Dr. Cornel West run in 2028. And then after 2024, we need to think about, okay, if we want to build a momentum for Dr. West or for third party candidates, we need to focus at the state and I'm sorry, local and state levels after 2024 to build the momentum moving forward.
um, Alex Ventura, thank you for checking in, but I'm about to disagree with you. The
Mhm.
establishment will start a fake third party soon. They already did that. That was called No Labels,
Mhm.
which was there for like literally no reason. Um, and here here is what I'm going to say because I'm going to talk about Jill Stein. I know this show is called "Congratulations to the 47th President of the United States, Dr. Cornel West."
Right.
That's who this show is about.
Mhm.
But my example didn't happen to Dr. West, so I can't really. It don't.
Right.
Um. Um. It shows how desperate the Democratic Party is. Because here's what I'll say, and I'll get to where I'm saying. Um. 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 Oh, gosh, and I just had my thought in my head. Um. I'm gonna get to this comment first, and then I'll come back.
I think you were about to say about how desperate Democrats
Yeah,
are.
I'm gonna get to there. There you go.
Sure.
Okay, so Michael Penn and Nelson Ortega, he's on my ballot in my state, and I can't wait to bubble him in on myself for office.
Like Cornel West. I think he's referring to Cornel West.
Yep. Joe Lieberman was on one of the top people for
Mhm.
the no labels. He died right before they decided not to run a candidate. I don't think they were ever serious about running the candidate because anytime you put Joe Manchin up, you got somebody got to be like for real though. Really,
Right.
I would be happy to see Cornel Rice running in 28. I would also like to see Diane Sayer in New York. I have tried to get her on my show, but I can't ever. Our schedules cross.
Yeah.
Desperate times call for desperate measures, Democrats. Yes. So here's the point I want to make. Again, it's about getting Dr. Cornel West in the White House, period. That's what this show is about.
Mhm.
That's what it's going to be about. Um, but the situation I'm about to talk about only applies to Dr. Jill Stein. So AOC, y'all know our favorite sellout, AOC.
Yes.
Yay. She came out and I kept noticing why are all of these Democrats criticizing Jill Stein? Because she was like Jill Stein at best is polling maybe 3%. That's like the best that she's doing. I'm like, well, why are they campaigning against her like they are? I mean,
Mhm.
she was like the Green Party isn't serious. They don't take themselves serious. They are wanting to grow. And
Mhm.
then all I had to do was look. Harris is losing votes within the Muslim community. The non-committed votes unit or group has really been effective in getting people to move away from the Biden Harris administration.
Administration.
And keep in mind this, Dr. West, when Dr. West was on this show, I specifically asked him, if your candidacy was not serious, why did the Democrats offer you a cabinet position?
Mhm. And what he said.
Um, you don't just go around offering cabinet positions, right? First of all, a cabinet position requires congressional approval or
Right.
Senate approval.
Exactly.
You don't just get to be on the cabinet. You don't just the president appoint. No, it doesn't work like that.
Mhm.
It does not work like that. So why take the chance to offer him that type of position? Because he's got more support than they thought
Mhm.
he had.
Right.
Because if he didn't, if his campaign was like one of my friends slash play brothers said, oh well, it's a protest campaign. Well, okay, so we have the right to protest in this country. And I said, well, okay, that's true, but why offer that position? Because again, you don't just go around just saying cabinet. You got to go through hearings to be on the cabinet. You gotta sit there and have people question you and have people. Um,
Yeah, it's like a vetting process.
yes. Now
Yeah.
Jesse, you said this. The Green Party is heck racist too. At least that's what my experience with them in Colorado. We're not here to talk about the Green Party, but I wanted to use Jill Stein as an example because
Mm-hmm.
what's happening is they're attacking they're attacking a grassroots party, which is what the Green Party is, to this billion-dollar corporation that takes billions of dollars from. I'm like, the two don't even compare. The resources that a Democrat has as opposed to a Green Party campaigner is
Mm-hmm.
totally different. But I'll talk about a little bit more about that at the
Right.
time. So I want to get back because I want to spend some time. And Michael, you could drop off at this point if you want, or you could stay on if you want.
Well, I like to stay on because I like to listen to your perspective. We exchange, ideas
Okay,
and modern
just know I've
people's.
already talked for a long time.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, speaking about, you talk about downtown Indianapolis, how it's a war zone. So I'm just wanting to ask you, Tracy. So back in 2000, when the economy peaked, what was it like then? Was it the same then, or is it a little different
it's
compared to
always
now?
been the same. It's always been the same because Indianapolis is one of those cities that it has a Democratic mayor and a Republican governor.
Right.
Um, and it's always been that way. There's always been the nice section of town
Mm-hmm.
and the not so nice section of town. It's always been that way. And that's why I'm like to black people, I'm like, look at what they did to Gaza. Make their property values come back. No, they didn't take missiles and drop them in our neighborhoods. Let me backtrack. Actually, they did drop neighborhoods in our neighborhoods. Philadelphia, 1983. Whole neighborhood got blown away by the U.S. government. I forgot that part. Let me not forget. Let me not forget that.
Right.
Um,
And this was
but
Counter Pro, right? It sounds like Counter Pro that happened in Philadelphia in the early 80s.
yeah, because it's like if people don't see it, I'm like, if they do that to
Hmm.
Gazans, they're going to do it to you. And I
Right.
wish Americans would wake up to what's going on overseas does have an effect on what's
At
going
home.
on over here. One, our money is paying for it.
Right.
Your tax dollars are paying for Israel to bomb Lebanon, Iran, Gaza, wherever it is they want to bomb, right?
Hmm.
Um, Second, morality argument. There
Hmm.
should be, there should be a movement towards peace, but apparently, Democrat, Republican voters are just so willing to say, you know what, peace, bye, I don't need
Right.
it.
So let me
Um,
ask, right. And in 2000, because you said the conditions always remain the same. What industries were available in downtown Indianapolis? Was there like factories, tourism, just
there's no factory. I mean, factories are like on the outskirts.
outskirts?
Um, Hospitality is a big one. Hospitality is like one of the biggest ones that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, And yeah, I was gonna say hospitality because we host the race, we host the Final Four, um, and that kind of stuff. So it's always been hospitality based.
Right. And how about like the cornfields? That's outside of down
That's definitely outside of Indianapolis. That's like in the counties.
in the
That's
county.
like outside of Marion County.
Oh,
Because
outside Marion County.
yeah, because I'm in Indianapolis is in Marion County. Marion County and Indianapolis are basically the same thing. Like
Right.
Marion County literally has one city in it, Indianapolis. There's other cities, but they don't really count. I mean, they count because they there, but really, they do and don't. But I want to move to this question
Sure.
because this question is why I did tonight's podcast.
I think
Will
we
the
answered that question earlier today. I remember.
Yeah, I said, hey, this is what I'm going to talk about. But we don't have the trolls coming in just making it
Yes, sir.
dang
Right.
fool of themselves. Will the Justice for All party continue past 2024? Tracy Michael, who would you like to see the 2028 nominee be? Well, we already said we want Dr. West. We already said that because,
Right.
heck, he'd only be 75. I mean, Biden out here, 84 years old, talking about he run or 82, however old he is. But yes, the party will continue. And so will this podcast. So you all know
Okay.
that tonight is the last episode. No, I'm sorry. Monday is the last episode of Congratulations to the 47th President,
Dr. Cornel
Dr.
West.
Cornel West. Um, I have really, 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 really um, enjoyed doing this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to so many people all across the United States, literally about their support.
Mm-hmm.
But as election season closes, it's time to move on.
On. Right.
So Dr. West has talked about continuing the work of the Justice for All Party,
Mm-hmm.
which means this podcast will continue its work,
Right.
but the title will be different. The title of the podcast will be Justice is Here.
Right.
That is what the podcast will be taught.
And in terms of in terms of justice, we'll be here. Like, what would you like to see at the state level? Tracy, in
Well,
your
this
state?
is. Let me tell you what I have in mind, and hopefully this will answer the
Sure.
question. Um, Hold on a second. We got more comments.
Oh wow, fat.
The Green Party has been around for like 4 years. The Democratic Party has been around for like 200 plus years. True. One of the first states to allow Cornel West on the ballot was Alaska. They were the very first state.
Mm-hmm.
Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Facts, and we have any control over where our tax dollars are going and to do what? Yeah, I know. Hamas is run by Israel, just like the PLO was. And viewers, not voters, I meant earlier about the Twitter share. Oh, okay, thank you. So, what I want the Justice is Here podcast to talk about is the local work of each Justice for All party.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now that includes. Wait a minute. Let me bring it up so I can just describe it. So,
Because we know very clearly, like nothing's gonna get done at the federal level, and we definitely have to take it. We had to definitely have to take it to the next level, to the state and local levels, in terms of like implementing policies. Because we know because Congress, president, and the judicial branch, yeah, they're pretty much not gonna do. They're not gonna get anything done. However, at the judicial branch, it's only when the policies will get challenged, not so when it's going to happen. But I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. So I think now we can do is focus at the state, local levels to get any initiatives done, or implement policies.
yep. So we're gonna share the screen, and I'll talk a
Hmm.
little bit more about this because I feel like I need it in front of me to talk about it. So, poster my wall.
Hmm.
Okay, so the mission of the Justice for Here podcast is to highlight the work of the Justice for All Party work. The podcast will transcend the conventional bounds of political participation, aiming to construct a realistic ecosystem for community empowerment through mutual aid and ballot access and future elections. So, what does that all mean? So, that means, for example, July 26, 2025. And I put that date is way far in the future, right? Way far in the future, but it'll be here before you know. The Indiana contingency is sponsoring a Medicare for All march. So the idea would be to have some of those people on the show to talk about here's the
Hmm.
march, this is why we're having it, this is what we hope to accomplish. If a Justice for All local party wants to run a person for office, have that candidate on the show, talk about why people should support the campaign, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a kind of a floating idea per se, and the show debuts March the 1st, 2025. And so since Monday is the last show, I'm more concerned about what am I going to do between all those Saturdays between um, November, etc., etc. Um, and talk. If I just lost my sense again, but
Mm-hmm.
it's to build on the work, right? To talk about what it is in the community that the party is doing. Because until a party is built, there can't be an option to expand, right? It's going to be hard for Dr. West to run again because so many of us were disappointed
Mm-hmm.
by the first time unless we do that organizing that takes place. So my idea is to have people on here talk about the efforts that they're doing um, to organize, talk about what challenges they face, what financial resources they need, what type of training is going to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to expand that work and to grow the party. And I really am looking forward to that. Um, but again, I'm more concerned about what am I going to do from October the 28th until March the 1st because I'm like, oh no. But we will be on. I will definitely be on. And I'm going to talk about my schedule here in just a moment. But
Sure.
Nelson has a comment I want to highlight. Nelson says, Nelson says, this is the reason I enjoy your podcast, Tracy. We need to talk about Cornel West and less about the do nothing stooges like Harrison Trump, like so many others are doing. I try, um, but that's the idea, because so many of you that watch my podcast every week were like, "Don't go away," because I was gonna pack it up,
Mm-hmm.
call it a day, and say, "That's it. I'm finished. I'm done. I've done everything I can do. I'm not going to go anymore." And people kept saying, "You got to keep the podcast going. You got to keep the podcast going." So this is why I'm keeping the podcast going. And so I will be working my tail off to get people to come on. I don't know when the party will officially launch. I'm going to launch March the 1st. Um, that's what I plan on doing. Um, and I just, I know the work is going to be hard because it's an off election year and people usually don't get excited about politics until the presidential election. But because I believe it's necessary to build outside of a presidential campaign, that's where the podcast came from.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um, so that's what I have done. And I will take any questions from anybody about my little podcast. Somebody called my podcast little today. Hurt my whole soul. I was so hurt. I was like,
Oh man.
but I tried. Things that'll be different about that podcast than this one.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, number one thing I'm going to be asking people to do is subscribe. I'm telling you right now, that's going to be. I don't do it on this show because I only want it to be about Dr. West. But on Justice is Here, I'm going to be asking people to subscribe. I'm going to talk about my Patreon page. I'm going to talk about carrying trainings live. Um, it's going to be a little bit different
Mm-hmm.
than what I've done here. So yeah, get ready for me to say subscribe to this channel because it's definitely coming.
Yeah.
Um,
And I have a question, Tracy Carson. Speaking about Medicare for all, introducing on the All Justice initiative, especially in your state, Indiana, how would you convey or convince the moderate Democrats? I'm sorry. Let me say the moderate Democratic voters,
well, I
in
don't know if those exist in Indiana. Um,
or let's say
because
conservative Democratic voters to
yeah, we got more conservative. I'll say that this telling stories because if you just say to people healthcare costs too much,
Mm-hmm.
90% of the people are going to agree.
Right.
If we can start there and tell stories about people's personal experiences with the healthcare system, within the healthcare system, um, that's where I think we're gonna. But of course, we're months away from that March happening. But that's our big thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know North Carolina is talking about doing something. Washington is talking about doing something. So we'll have people to interview. Like I said, my concern is what the heck am I going to do from October the 28th until March the 1st?
Right.
That's where I'm like, oh, I don't know yet, but I'll think of something. I got 2 days to
Yeah,
think about it.
right, because you mentioned, yeah, earlier you mentioned that Indiana, the current governor is Republican, and in the House
Yes.
of Delegates it is Democrats. So how do you?
No, 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 no. Everything's Republican.
Okay, Republican. Sorry, my fault.
Everything is Republican.
Everything is Republican. Are you saying like everything is Republican, like 100% or 90%? I just wanted to understand or
I
clarify.
would say 95% of all legislators in Indiana are Republican.
Republican, right? Because I'm just trying to figure like the logistic, like introducing medical for at the state level, especially with a Republican governor. Like, how would you?
Well, okay, so here's one thing. Here's one
Sorry.
because I know you're gonna say it should be nationwide. It should be, but here's what I say. I think you introduce it at the state level because it has an easier chance of getting passed.
Yes.
Federally, um, federally, I don't see Medicare for all getting passed unless other states jump in, do their own rallies on that exact same day,
Hmm.
and the outpour is so overwhelming they have to do something.
Right. Well, I'm just speaking about Indiana alone, like getting Medicare for
But doing it in Indiana, it's a
for
lot of an
Republic.
easier path. Even though, again, we're looking to the citizenry to make the case for us.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yes, we have a lot to think about, and we haven't even started planning yet. So, no, I don't know the answer to your question yet, but as we
Hmm.
get closer, we'll have an answer.
Yeah, but the governor of your state, is he like a moderate Republican,
No,
hardcore Republican?
no,
Hardcore, right?
no, they're not. I mean, the chances of it being successful, again,
Hmm.
the public pressure has to be that amount where you just can't ignore it. Um,
Right.
Nelson says if Cornel West is not our president in 2024, then we have 4 years to continue to educate the people of truth, justice, and love for people party so that people are ready for the campaign absolutely in 2028. And that's the thing that AOC's little snapback, little
Hmm.
condemning comes from. She was like, well, you don't build. You can't build without money. You cannot build anything. We don't have publicly financed elections, right? And so
Hmm.
I'm going to implore you to, because it's almost time for me to end this, to go to cornelwest2024.com, and even after the election, right? Even
Right.
go there after the election because the campaign will have debts that it has to satisfy. Go there and make a $5 contribution. If you don't have $5, contribute $1. If you don't have $1, share the post, share the link, talk to somebody. There are so many things that we can do, but again, we do need money
Hmm.
badly.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and by the Tracy, I have
Tracy,
a. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I mean, I didn't mean to interject. I apologize.
no, go ahead because I'm gonna go to this comment because I gotta do it.
Yeah.
Kevin, go ahead.
Cause you, yeah, cause you meant, yeah, you mentioned about reparations. I remember in another YouTube channel. How did you reach to the conclusion that cash payment reparations for chattel slavery are needed and a necessity? Did you like take a ancestry test? I'm just
No,
curious.
I didn't. How I came to it, I was like, well, if the Asian Americans could get it, why can't Black Americans get it?
Right.
That's literally how I came to reparations, and I was like a teenager.
Or we're a teenager because we didn't have the internet back then. I'm talking about like
Mm-mm.
recent, like now.
Um, I've always been for reparations. I can't think of a time where I wasn't for them for black people. I can never think of that time. It's never existed for me.
Right. Because the reason I'm asking this question because I read a poll. Most Black American, yeah, majority of Black Americans support reparations, and then once they get reparations, they want to separate themselves from others. In other words, they want to build the Black Wall Street, have Black Wall Street in 50 states. Because what they learned is that in the last 400 years and counting, every time they fight hard for integration, them folks always shut them down and told them to move on. And then whenever Black Americans get reparations and then they want to build, the Karens and Becky's get very upset that, oh, Black Americans, why are you excluding us? Why are you being segregations? And Black Americans told Becky's because you guys did that to us first. So please like leave us alone. I mean, I'm just paraphrasing. I mean,
I don't get into all that. I get into looky here. You promised it. You promised it way back then. It's time to pay up.
right.
But because it's almost time for me to shut this down. Tracy, I'm so surprised how many people voters are so brainwashed and still believe in this two-party system. Kevin, so am I. Kevin, you and me both, because I'm still sitting here like, you're okay voting for genocide? Like, you're voting for a person that, like, their theory is not even. And I'm gonna tell this story, and then I'm gonna just bounce it out because I ordered my dinner because I did not feel like cooking today. I was like, nope, I'm not gonna cook nothing. I'm tired. I can't, so I'm just gonna go pick up my dinner.
Oh,
Um, I put on my Facebook page that if
hmm,
you vote for Harris or Trump, that you support genocide.
right.
You'd have thought I'd have said Adolf Hitler is the greatest person that ever existed. You'd have thought I'd have said something that was just so outrageously outlandish. And then I got it. People don't care about anybody but themselves.
Hmm.
And that's the type of society, unfortunately, that we live in. I mean, when you have people tell you, oh, well, that's their problem. No, their problem is going to become our problem. Their
Yes.
problem is our problem because we're paying for it, and we should not be paying for it for
Mhm.
children to die.
Right.
We should not be. That's my red line.
Hmm.
I'm not backing down. I don't plan on backing down. Michael, before I let you go, is there something you want to say very briefly?
Yeah, I'll say like very briefly, and we. How do I say this? So although there's going to be more independent and moderate voters 2028, I'm sorry, this year and beyond 2024, we need to tell the moderate and independent voters, don't aim for moderate policies. Aim for radical and bold policies moving forward, because it's not the time to go back to the drawing board and say, let's just do 50% halfway. We can't, because the the problems are too deep. And when the problems are too deep, it's like saying the cancer has metastasized. We can't just
Yep.
give medicine and then expect the problems going. No, we need a surgery to stop the cancer from growing.
Yep.
And to me, and I'm not sure about you, but why do you think like the independent and moderate voters don't believe in bold policies when they probably should know, when they should know that bold problems have persisted in the last 40, 50 years?
The media.
Media.
The media will literally tell people voting third party means nothing. You're voting for a losing campaign.
Right.
That's my answer. And people that say the media doesn't have any swing, yes, they do. How many times um was Dr. West ignored by the traditional media? Yes,
Multiple
he went on
times.
CNN a few times, but they weren't talking about him every single day. Like, they weren't showing him he went to get a cup of coffee. He went to get it. No. Um, it's the media. That's my answer, and I'm just gonna sum it up because again, I gotta get myself going. But
Yeah.
last comment. Cornel West was interviewed by Chris Hedges. He said that in 14 months, He got $1.5 million compared to the Democrats who get that and much more every month. West Abdullah for president 2024, $500 million. They almost have $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
$1 billion and they're going to lose. How do you have $1 billion and you lose a campaign? I wish I had time to go over that because I'm just like, take that L, take it because you gonna get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't come in here and talk about I did it. No, they did it. They did
Right.
it. It's their fault for
Mm-hmm.
not condemning Netanyahu. Um,
Yeah, Accent Black said when you vote third party, you vote issues and policy.
yep, absolutely. Oh, and welcome, Action Black, and subscribe if you haven't already. Just saying. Um, Biggest waste of money ever. Exactly. Exactly. Where did the Dems? Exactly. Thank you. They did it to themselves, and
So,
that's
yep.
what they don't get. That's what the Democratic voter does not get. I'm like, you did it to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All we said was stop giving Netanyahu money.
Yeah.
That's literally all we asked for, and you couldn't do that. But you want us to go and vote for you? No, sorry.
Yeah, and what do you think about the Democrats who are just focusing? I mean, in this election, they're focusing too much on LGBTQ, abortion, and immigration. When we know what's much bigger than that is the finance. Um,
The economy is
Angeles.
always going to be the number one issue. Doesn't matter. Now, I don't want to talk disparaging about any community when I say that
Mm-hmm.
because I don't. Everybody in this country pays taxes, has the right for their issues to be heard. But
Mm-hmm.
the economy is always going to be care who's the president. The economy is always going to be the
Bigger
number one
issue.
issue. Period. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Also, if you haven't done this, yes, Nelson, thank you. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button. And this one, why should we stop giving money to Israel? They're fighting for their lives. Okay, IR333. We should stop giving money because they're illegally killing Palestinians. You're talking about genocide.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you realize that's what you're talking about. Our money should never go to support genocide. And if I'm a peace activist, which is what I believe I am, I'm for peace, period. I'm not for expanded wars. I'm not for using our tax money to pay for military weapons. For sending medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm for sending. What do you mean they're not committing genocide? Of course they see. I knew I was gonna get one.
Mm-hmm. Troller.
Are you crazy? Of course they're committing genocide. Palestinians and Hamas are not the same thing. If they just simply went after Hamas, okay, I don't like war, but I can see it. Um, what do you think war is? War is unnecessary.
It's
This is
unnecessary.
unnecessary.
Yeah, the
We
war's
should
really
try
about
to live
money.
in peace.
Yeah, the war is really about business and money. Really.
Nah, I'm gonna end it now. Cause see, I'm about to get mad. My food is at the restaurant waiting for me to pick it up. I ain't got time. Not today. I don't.
Okay. Uh,
Um,
well, I
can
don't want to. I don't
can
want
I
to keep.
get a wrench, Tracy? Wait a minute. Can I get a wrench, Tracy, to deal with these? They was out the week before last when Michael was here. Boy, they was out. I'm like, who? It's not a genocide. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're bombing schools, hospitals.
Yes.
Hamas ain't in none of them places.
Mm-hmm.
That's called a genocide, especially when Netanyahu says, I want to ethnically cleanse them. And he used the term ethnically cleanse. So if you want to see what a genocide is, go to Twitter, because they'll never show it on the news, where Israel is talking about murdering and raping children, men in prison. That's genocide. I don't know, maybe you want to look at a thing called a dictionary.
Mhm.
Maybe that's where you need to turn to, but it's obviously a genocide.
Yeah.
See, I'm not gonna do this today. I'm not gonna do that. Not today. I'm not. Not today.
Yeah.
I'm not. So, Michael, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Everybody,
Yep.
wait a minute. One more. Hezbollah is putting weapons of mass destruction in residential homes.
Mhm.
So now they're. I will say this now, things will definitely get worse in the next 4 years. This insanity has taken over. Absolutely. No, I'm wondering what's wrong with you. See, I'm wondering what's wrong with you. That you can't see that this is clearly genocide when the leader of the nation is impacting war so he doesn't get booted out of office. But hey, that's just me. I value Palestinian lives. I value Israeli lives. I value life. That's
Mhm.
who I am. That's who the essence of who I am is. So I'm
Mhm.
wondering what's wrong with you. So um remember to watch this podcast on Monday. Monday, when we'll have a special Monday edition, and I'm glad supporting terrorism. Take your Israeli talking points and go home, boy. Go home. Sit down, cause it's not
Mhm.
going not today. Um, watch this show on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's either 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. If you're already subscribed, you'll get a notification. I will have a special guest. It will not be Dr. Cornel West. I'll tell you that now. It won't be. But I will have some very special guests for the Monday edition of Congratulations to the 47th President of the United States, Dr. Cornel West. Um, then Tuesday, November the 5th. Um, wait a minute. You don't need to be on the internet. Honey, why you watching? Like, if you don't agree with my say, you could just, like, I don't know,
Right.
log off or go watch something else. You don't have to watch me. Trust and believe you. Hey, it's not like I got a lot of viewers anyway. It's not like I just got viewers. They just all just in here. Um, how do you know? Um, remember November the 5th, we will be having a special election day podcast of this show. We will podcast if you want to be a guest. Not you IR333, because no, not you. Um um let me know. You can let me know by going to my page and there's a way to contact me, or you can just email me at tracymediallc@gmail.com. That's my email for my channel. Um
Mhm.
Let me know because I need 4 more guests, and I'm still looking for those 4 more guests. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Um, be on the lookout for some repeat episodes. I'm gonna try my best to keep this going. We'll see you all, and I'm gonna let Nelson have the very, very last word. You are being brainwashed by corporate media that is controlled by the IDF propaganda. Thank you. See, this is why Nelson is my play cousin. Because he says what I'm thinking. Like, I don't have the ability to say it in words that
Mhm.
make sense. But he can take what I'm thinking and put it out there. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, that's it. That's what I need. That's why Nelson is my play cousin. Um, Thank you all for watching. Have a great evening. Remember, tune in Monday. Tune in Monday. Tune in Monday. Tune in Monday. Have a great one. I'll see you all later. I'm going to take us down and play the outro. And we'll see you when we see you. And remember, it's not too late to go west. Go west.
Go west, definitely. All right.